Meanwhile, the lawyers for 5 men who are accused of playing a role in orchestrating the 9/11 terror attacks are meeting with a judge this week to discuss the upcoming trial. Yesterday, the attorneys attempted to have the death penalty removed from a possible sentencing. The lawyers also attempted to talk about the torture these men underwent while in secret prisons. But they were stopped by a judge who said that some of the prisoners' treatment involves classified information and therefore could only be discussed in closed-door legal sessions. For more on this case on military justice here at Guantanamo Bay, I was joined earlier by Martha Rayner. She's a lawyer who represents detainees at Gitmo and is an associate clinical professor of law at Fordham University School of Law. And I started off by asking her what it's like to litigate on Guantanamo Bay and how it's different from other cases that she's done in the past.
Well, certainly litigating a case far away on an island is very difficult. Just to be clear, I'm not litigating in a military tribunal right now, but I'm familiar with what goes on there because I represent clients at Guantanamo and have traveled there. First of all, it's just very hard logistically, right? There's been lots of problems with just basic internet access. There's been lots of problems with security around defense counsel's files, for example. There's problems with having proper space in which to work. There's been problems with mold and with other, hygiene issues, just trying to find clean offices to work in. So it's, there's just also the logistical problems of getting to Guantanamo, right? You have to travel there. That's extra time. And Guantanamo is subject to hurricanes. There's been many military commission moments that have been disrupted because of various storms and hurricanes that frequently sweep through Cuba. So most of the challenges are really the logistics. But on a more substantive level, another challenge is that this military commission law is emerging while the lawyers are lawyering. Right? Much of the law is not in place. And so that means lawyers are trying to, the law is sort of being decided as they're moving along. And that's very difficult.
Now, as I understand it, lawyers were quickly interrupted on Tuesday during the military tribunal for the alleged 9/11 conspirators when they were talking about waterboarding in an attempt to get execution off of the table. Have you ever had experiences like that where you were prevented from discussing something that would have potentially helped your client's case out?
Well, sure. I mean, the rules and regulations that are governing the military commissions are incredibly confining for defense counsel. They're subject to very strict protective orders that require them to keep classified information classified. And it means that they cannot share that classified information with people that actually may be able to help their clients. So, for example, the lawyers representing the men accused of sort of the men now called the 9/11-5, they are seeking to disclose facts of their clients' torture to various international tribunals that they're seeking to look at the allegations of torture. And they're unable to do that, right? I mean, there's no doubt that the U.S. government engaged in torture. It's publicly known at this point, right? And these lawyers want the individual acts of torture against their clients to be properly investigated. And they're unable to do that because they can't share what their clients have told them with these outside decision makers and fact finders. And it really ties their hands and limits the amount of advocacy they can engage in.
So then the question becomes, are these trials decided before they are even heard? What are the chances at a fair trial there?
Well, look, this issue around disclosure of the facts of torture in many ways goes to the issue of punishment, right? The U.S. government is seeking the death penalty for these men, right? If they're convicted, they're seeking to have them executed. And the question, one of the issues the defense attorneys want to bring to bear is whether they should be executed in light of the fact that the government, the U.S. government, has acted outside the law in supposedly bringing them to justice, right? And should we really be killing someone that we, like the U.S. government, didn't, broke the law in how they treated these men, right? So, can they get a fair trial? Well, my feeling is if the defense attorneys feel as though, in order to get a fair trial, they need to be able to bring this information to the light of day, they should be allowed to do that, right? If they feel they needed to bring this to the attention of outside tribunals, outside decision makers, they should be able to do that. Whether that's going to interfere with whether they get a fair trial, it's really, I can't really speak to that as I sit here today. I don't know the details of these particular individual cases.
That was Martha Rayner, Associate Clinical Professor of Law at Fordham University and a lawyer for Guantanamo Bay detainees.